Far away from Earth, in the heart of the galaxy, stood a great chamber made of crystal and light. It was not a place for humans. It was the seat of the Galactic Council, the oldest and most powerful gathering of alien races. For thousands of years they had ruled the stars, guiding young species, shaping empires, and watching civilizations rise and fall. Inside that chamber, voices echoed in strange tones, some sharp like metal, some soft like water. The council had gathered for one purpose: to speak about Earth, the home of humanity. They watched Earth for centuries, and they believed the end of humanity was near. One tall being with silver skin stood and spoke, his voice calm but cold. "Humans are a dangerous species," he said. "They fight each other endlessly. They poison their world. They burn their skies. Soon they will fall, just like so many others before them." Around the chamber, other aliens nodded, their many eyes shining in agreement. To them, humanity was nothing more than another short-lived experiment of nature. A reptilian voice hissed, "They are clever but not wise. They discover fire and then burn their own homes. They create machines but use them for war. Their history is war after war. They will destroy themselves. We need only wait." The chamber filled with a low hum of approval. The council had seen it before. There were once races stronger than humans, faster, smarter, but every one of them had fallen in time. Some destroyed themselves through greed, others through war, others through arrogance. The council always waited and then took what was left. Planets, resources, slaves, knowledge, these became the spoils of the patient. To them, Earth was already marked for the same fate. But not everyone agreed. In the shadows of the chamber, an old alien elder sat, his skin faded like ancient stone, his eyes deep with memory. When he spoke, the hall grew silent, for he was one of the oldest members of the council. "You all speak of humans as if they are already finished," he said slowly. "But I have studied them longer than any of you. I have seen something in them. Something different." The others turned, some curious, some mocking. "Different?" One laughed, "A being with wings of fire. They kill each other faster than they breed. What could be different about them?" The elder leaned forward, his gaze heavy. "Yes, they fight. Yes, they destroy. But every time they fall, they rise again. Stronger. Faster. Smarter. Their history is not only of war, it is of survival. No matter how deep the wound, they always climb back." The chamber stirred with unease. The silver-skinned speaker snapped back, "Survival means nothing if they burn themselves completely. They are a threat to themselves, not to us." "And yet," the elder whispered, "a threat to themselves can become a threat to all." For a moment silence filled the council chamber. Then laughter broke it. "Old fear," said one. "Old caution," said another. "We have heard this before. Humans are weak. They cannot touch the stars as we do. Their rockets are toys, their machines fragile. They are blind children playing with fire." The elder said nothing more, but in his heart he carried a weight the others ignored. He had seen in humanity a spark, something dangerous, something powerful, something that could not be measured by ships or weapons. The council returned to its debate. Reports were shown, images of Earth with smoke rising from its cities, oceans filled with plastic, forests cut down. "They destroy their own home," one declared. "Why should we fear them? They are doomed." Another said, "When the time is right, we will take their planet. It is rich, green, and full of life. Humanity will be gone, and Earth will be ours." The words echoed like a sentence already past. Yet deep inside, a seed of doubt was planted. What if the elder was right? What if humanity did not fall? But such thoughts were quickly drowned by greed and pride. The council believed itself wise beyond all measure. They had seen countless young races before, and none had surprised them. Why should Earth be any different? Still, the elder's words clung like shadows in the chamber. He leaned back in his seat and whispered to himself, too soft for others to hear. "They will not fall as you think. You do not see what I have seen. As the council continued to argue, far away across the stars, Earth spun silently in space. Humans fought, humans argued, humans dreamed. From above, they looked small and broken. But inside, something was moving, something no alien could yet see. In secret, behind the noise of war and chaos, a plan was forming. The council waited for humanity's fall, but the seeds of something greater were already taking root. And soon, the galaxy would learn that waiting was their greatest mistake. On Earth the air was heavy with smoke and dust, and the sound of arguments filled the world louder than songs of peace. Nations stood against nations not with words of wisdom but with weapons of fire. Leaders gave speeches about freedom and justice, yet their armies marched for power and greed. The streets of great cities glowed with lights, but beneath the glow there was hunger and unrest. Factories poured poison into the sky, and the oceans carried the waste of human hands. The Galactic Council watched all of this and smiled in silence because to them this was the proof that humanity was tearing itself apart. On the news every day came the same images of war. Soldiers marched across deserts, tanks rolled through ruined towns, and the cries of the weak were lost in the noise of battle. One nation tested missiles, another tested new weapons, and both claimed it was for safety but both prepared for war. The Council spies who drifted unseen above Earth sent endless reports of chaos. They are close, the alien observers said. Close to the end. They cannot unite. They cannot survive. But inside the madness of war something else lived, something the Council could not see with their distant eyes. In hidden labs deep underground scientists worked by the glow of silent screens. They built machines that no government admitted existed. They designed engines that could leap between the stars. They tested weapons that could pierce the armor of alien warships. And above all they whispered to each other about a secret that could never be shared. It was the secret of survival. Humanity had always fought itself, but in every war, in every crisis, they also learned. They learned to build stronger cities after disaster, stronger hearts after sorrow, stronger weapons after defeat. History was cruel, but it was also a teacher, and humans had learned well. In the deserts of the Middle East a warlord shouted about power, but only a few miles beneath the sand engineers worked in silence on a reactor meant not for bombs but for starships. In the frozen north soldiers drilled in ice, but beneath the frozen sea a massive hangar was carved into the ice shelf, and inside it lay the hull of something the world had never seen before, a ship longer than a skyscraper, shaped like a spear, black as night. On the surface it was war, poverty, chaos. Underneath it was unity in shadow. It was not the unity of governments, not the unity of kings or presidents, but the unity of men and women who knew the truth. If humanity did not prepare, then one day when the aliens came they would not be masters, they would be slaves. Yet no one spoke these words in the open. To the people in the streets it was just another day of struggle. They fought for bread, they fought for water, they fought for small dreams in small houses. They cursed their leaders and prayed for peace, not knowing that above them secret starships already hid behind the clouds. The Council saw the chaos and laughed. "Look at them," one alien said to another. "They pollute their oceans, they poison their own air. They fight their own families. They are too blind to see the bigger universe. Soon they will fall." And perhaps to a watching eye it was true. Nations threatened each other with nuclear fire. Forests fell for money. Children starved while leaders grew fat. But inside the broken world was something else, something no council member understood: the human spirit. Again and again humans were pushed down, yet again and again they stood up. A city destroyed by bombs was rebuilt. A nation broken by famine rose again in fields of green. A people who lost everything still found the strength to sing. The aliens saw war. The elder in the council saw survival. And the truth hidden in the shadows was even greater. In tunnels, in bunkers, in secret islands, in forgotten places, humans were preparing for a storm not of their own making. The secret Armada was being born. A soldier who fired a rifle by day worked by night on the frame of a starfighter. A farmer who plowed his land carried parts to an underground base where ships hummed like sleeping giants. A scientist who cured disease was also helping design engines that could outrun the fastest alien scout. Humanity struggled in the open, yes, but it was a mask, a disguise, a show for the galaxy to see. In truth, a deeper war was already being fought. The war for survival, the war for freedom, the war that would decide the fate of Earth itself. The Council waited for collapse, but the collapse never came. Instead, the struggle of humanity was the fire that forged something new, something terrible, something powerful. The world did not know it yet. The aliens did not believe it yet. But the secret was growing, and soon the galaxy would see that from the ashes of struggle, a storm was rising. Beneath the surface of Earth, a secret was growing in silence and shadow. While the world above was filled with chaos, protests, wars, and hunger, in the hidden corners of the planet men and women worked on something no outsider could imagine. The oceans hid them best, for deep under the crushing waves vast chambers had been carved out of the rock. Inside these halls machines roared and lights flickered as workers built the shapes of giants. Ships, larger than any built before, rose in secret dry docks where no satellite could see them. Their hulls were black and sharp, built not for show but for survival. In the frozen lands of the north, under mountains of ice, tunnels stretched for miles. Inside those tunnels were the wings of sleek starfighters, engines glowing with power, tested in silence. A single blast from those engines could burn through steel, but no one outside those tunnels knew. Governments argued on television, leaders shouted at each other in meetings, but beneath their feet their best scientists and engineers worked together in silence. It was a unity not built by politics but by fear and hope. Some worked because they feared alien conquest, others worked because they dreamed of the stars, but all shared one thought: humanity must be ready. The ships were not like the rockets of the past, tall and fragile, waiting to break in the sky. These ships were predators, with armor that could withstand heat, with weapons hidden in their sides, with engines that could leap beyond the moon. Each ship carried secrets stolen from human wars, stealth from submarines, speed from fighter jets, power from nuclear reactors. All the wisdom of centuries of struggle was woven into their frames. The people who built them did not speak of glory. They spoke only of survival. At night they returned to their homes as if nothing was different. They ate dinner with their families, they walked in the streets, they acted like the rest of the world. But in their minds the images of the ships followed them. They knew what they were building. They knew what would come. Above Earth, alien scouts tried to watch. They circled high above the atmosphere, their eyes seeking signs of new weapons. But what they saw was only confusion. On the surface humans fired missiles at each other. Smoke rose from wars in deserts and jungles. Factories pumped out endless goods. To alien eyes Earth looked broken. They never guessed what hid below. The Council spies reported the same message: humans are too busy destroying themselves to be dangerous. And the Council believed them. But deep in the black oceans, the Armada waited. Hundreds of ships lay like sleeping beasts, powered down, silent, invisible to alien sensors. Some were buried under mountains, hidden in caverns so deep no satellite could see them. Others floated in hidden bases at the edge of the solar system, disguised as rocks, lifeless to the eye but alive with power inside. And in command rooms hidden beneath cities maps were drawn, strategies prepared. Not every nation agreed, not every leader knew, but those who did shared the same oath: we will not be taken. We will not be slaves. The builders of the Armada spoke little of the Council because they did not know the Council's full power. But they had seen enough in whispers, enough in strange signals from the stars, enough in rumors passed between hidden scientists. They knew the universe was not empty. They knew someone was watching. And if someone was watching, then one day they would come. Humanity's wars had been cruel teachers, but from every lesson came new tools. Submarines had taught them to hide under oceans. Bombers had taught them to carry destruction far. Satellites had taught them to see from above. Now all these lessons were placed into ships that no alien had yet imagined. The humans called the project many names, each nation with its own code, but among the builders it was spoken of as one thing: the hidden Armada. It was not just a fleet of ships. It was a shield, a promise, a secret that would change the fate of the world. Only a handful of people knew the full truth. To the rest of Earth it was invisible, just another mystery lost beneath the noise of politics and war. And so the Council waited, blind and confident, laughing at humanity's struggles. They did not know that under the waves, under the ice, under the ground, in the dark silence between stars, the hidden Armada was already alive. Engines hummed softly. Weapons lay ready. Pilots trained in simulators, flying through imagined stars. And somewhere, in the heart of one of those black ships, a commander stood in silence and whispered to himself, "When they come, they will find us ready." Humanity had always been underestimated, always been ignored, always been seen as weak. But the hidden Armada was proof that weakness was only a mask. Behind that mask burned a fire too bright to be measured. The Council waited for humanity's fall, but beneath the shadows humanity was rising, and soon the galaxy would see that the children of Earth were not as helpless as they seemed. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, the voices of 100 races filled the air with whispers and echoes as they gathered once more to speak of Earth. The chamber glowed with starlight captured in crystal walls, and in the center floated a great sphere showing images of the human world, spinning slowly, its blue oceans scarred with storms, its lands glowing with fire from wars. Around the sphere the alien leaders laughed and spoke with greed in their voices. "They are falling," hissed a scaled creature with eyes like knives. "They fight their own kind more than they fight their hunger. Soon they will burn themselves to dust." Another, a massive being with skin like stone, rumbled in a deep voice, "Their weapons are dangerous, yes, but they are pointed at each other, not at us. Let them fight, let them waste their strength, and when they are gone we will take their planet." The chamber filled with nods and murmurs of agreement. Earth was young, rich, and full of life, a jewel in space. To the Council it was already a prize, only waiting to be claimed. They spoke of its oceans that could feed colonies, its forests that could be harvested, its minerals that could build fleets. Humanity was not part of the Council and never would be, they said, because humanity would not live long enough to rise. A being with wings of fire leaned forward, her voice sharp and cruel. "I want the southern lands for my people. We need the warmth and water. When the humans are gone, we will settle there." Another voice, a cold one like ice cracking, said, "My empire will take the north. The minerals are strong there. The humans will not use them. They waste everything they touch." Greed spread like poison in the room as empires marked Earth as if it was already empty. They argued over borders of a planet still alive, over seas that still belonged to humans, over skies still filled with human planes. No one in the chamber thought the humans would survive long enough to matter. Only one voice spoke in doubt, the old elder who had warned them before. His tone was weary but strong as he said, "You speak as if they are already gone, but they are not gone yet. I have told you before, I have watched them longer than any of you. They are not like the others. They fall, but they rise again. You will regret underestimating them." The chamber erupted in laughter, mocking the elder's caution. "Old fool," sneered the silver-skinned leader. "You see ghosts where there are only dying flames. The humans cannot rise again. Look at their cities, drowning in smoke. Look at their leaders, fighting like children. They cannot even agree among themselves. How could they ever stand against us?" Others joined, their voices filled with arrogance. "They have no fleet," one said. "Their rockets are toys." "They have no unity," said another. "Their nations tear each other apart." "They have no chance," declared a third, and the rest agreed. The elder fell silent, knowing his words had no power here. The Council began to make their plan official. They wrote agreements on glowing tablets, each empire signing its claim to a piece of Earth. The reptilian clans would take the jungles. The stone giants would take the mountains. The winged ones would take the skies. Each empire carved Earth into parts as if it was already dead. "When the humans fall," said the Council speaker, "we will move quickly. No mercy. No hesitation. Their planet will be ours within one cycle." The words were spoken with such certainty that none dared question them. They had done it before. They had waited for young races to collapse, then swooped in like vultures. It was the way of the galaxy. To them this was nothing new, nothing dangerous, only another step in their endless hunger for worlds. But deep in the elder's heart a storm of unease grew stronger. He remembered the flames of human history, how they had risen from caves to cities, from stones to steel, from horses to rockets, all in the blink of a galactic eye. He remembered how even in their darkest wars they had rebuilt, how even in their worst disasters they had endured. He wondered what they might be building now, hidden from alien eyes. He wondered if the Council's greed would blind them to danger. But he spoke no more, for no one listened. The plan was written, sealed, and celebrated. The Council waited for humanity's fall with the patience of predators, but in their pride they never saw the truth. They never saw the black ships sleeping in the oceans. They never saw the hidden Armada growing in silence. They believed Earth was weak, but Earth was not sleeping, Earth was sharpening its claws. The Council thought they had planned for everything, but they had planned for nothing that mattered. And soon, the plan that seemed so perfect would shatter in fire and fear when humanity revealed what it had been building all along. High above the blue curve of Earth a silent ship drifted in the darkness, its hull black as coal, its shape sharp and thin like a blade. It was not human. It belonged to the Council, sent in secret to study the world below. The Council had grown impatient waiting for humanity's collapse, and so they had sent a scout, a small vessel with hidden eyes and listening ears, to confirm that Earth was indeed close to its end. Inside the ship alien crew members watched glowing screens, their many fingers tapping as they recorded human signals. They listened to human broadcasts, full of shouts and cries of war. They watched human soldiers fighting across deserts and forests. They saw burning cities, floods, famine, and endless arguments between leaders. To them the proof was clear. Humanity was doomed. The commander of the scout, a creature with skin like glass, laughed coldly and said, "The Council was right. They destroy themselves faster than we ever could. Soon the planet will be ready for harvest." His crew nodded, recording more and more images to send back. They captured scenes of missiles rising into the air, of factories pouring black smoke, of angry crowds in the streets. All of it was painted as evidence of weakness. Yet as they drew closer, passing over oceans and mountains, the ship's sensors began to pick up strange signals. Bursts of energy flickered in the deep seas where nothing should exist. Heat signatures glowed faintly from beneath frozen ice. For a moment the crew grew uneasy. "What is this?" one asked. "The humans have no power plants in these places." The commander dismissed it with a wave. "Probably mistakes in their own technology. They waste energy everywhere. Pay it no mind." But the signals grew stronger the longer they listened, as if something alive was hidden under the oceans and under the ice. The commander grew curious. "Take us lower," he ordered. The ship descended closer to Earth's atmosphere, its stealth systems cloaking it from human eyes. Clouds rolled below them as they skimmed the edge of the sky. Their sensors reached deep, scanning the seas. Suddenly they caught a glimpse of something impossible, a shadow of a massive shape lying on the ocean floor, metal and vast, larger than any human ship should be. The crew gasped. "It cannot be," one whispered. "The humans cannot build something like this." The commander's glassy face hardened. "Increase scans. Find out what it is." But before they could finish, alarms shrieked inside the alien ship. A beam of light cut through the clouds, striking their hull. The scout shuddered as systems flickered. "We are being targeted," cried one crew member. "Impossible. No one sees us." The commander's voice trembled with shock. "Who dares attack us?" Through the storm of static on their screens, an image appeared for only a heartbeat, the sharp outline of a black vessel rising from the ocean waves. It was not alien. It was human. The crew stared in horror. "They should not have this. They cannot." The commander tried to pull the ship away, engines roaring as they raced for orbit, but another blast of energy struck them, tearing across their shields. The alien scout spun, lights failing, and in the chaos they felt a grip, a pull, as if invisible hands had wrapped around their vessel. Gravity hooks dragged them down, pulling them toward the sea. "No! They have us!" the crew cried, panic in their voices. The commander shouted for distress signals to be sent to the council, but the humans were clever. Jamming waves blocked every transmission. The scout ship was dragged into the black water, swallowed whole by the ocean. Inside, fear filled the alien hearts as darkness surrounded them. They saw lights moving in the water, not the lights of nature but the cold, sharp beams of machines. Human machines. For the first time, the council's spies realized the truth. Humanity was not broken. Humanity was hiding. But their discovery came too late. The sea closed above them, the alien ship trapped and helpless in the grip of human hands. In the great chamber of the council far across the stars, they waited for the scout's report. Hours passed. Then days. But no signal came. The council leaders grew impatient. "Where is our ship? Why do they not report?" one demanded. The silver-skinned leader shook his head. Perhaps they were destroyed in the humans' wars. Or perhaps their ship failed. Humans are not capable of capturing such a vessel. Yet in the shadows the elder's eyes narrowed. He felt a chill deep inside him, a fear that the humans had revealed themselves at last. He whispered, though none heard him, "The silence of that scout is not an accident. Something has happened. Something we do not yet see." On Earth the sea was calm again, the sky clear, as if nothing had ever happened. The world above carried on with its wars and struggles, unaware of the secret battle that had just taken place. Only deep below, in hidden bases where the water met the steel of secret docks, did the truth rest. Humanity had captured an alien scout. They studied it in silence, taking apart its systems, learning its secrets. The council believed humanity was weak, but humanity had just taken its first step into a war that would change everything. In the great chamber of the Galactic Council, the mood was bright and full of pride as the alien leaders gathered once more to speak of Earth. They believed their scout ship had seen enough proof of human weakness and soon it would return with records of war and ruin, but the scout never came back. Days turned to weeks and still no signal arrived. The council argued, some saying the humans must have destroyed it by accident, others saying the ship had failed on its own. None believed the truth, for to them humans were too weak to capture such a vessel. So they returned to their old speeches, dividing Earth like a feast not yet served. But far away from their glittering hall, in the cold silence of a distant star system, a shadow appeared. At first it was one ship, dark and sharp, sliding from the black of space like a ghost. Then another followed, and another, until the night was filled with a fleet of ships unlike anything the council had ever seen. They were not alien. They were human. The secret Armada had awakened. For years hidden in oceans, in ice, in mountains, the ships had been built in silence, but now they moved together, their engines burning like stars, their weapons hidden in the dark. To the humans who commanded them it was not just a fleet, it was proof that they were no longer bound to Earth, no longer trapped as prey. The first strike came without warning. A warlord from the Outer Rim, who had prepared to send his fleet to Earth, suddenly found his ships under attack. From the darkness human vessels moved with speed and silence, their weapons cutting through alien armor with terrible precision. Alien captains shouted in panic, unable to believe what they saw. Who are they? They are not council fleets. Their designs are strange, their weapons impossible. But it was true. Humanity had revealed itself at last. Reports rushed through the stars, whispers spreading faster than light. A fleet unknown, a fleet powerful, a fleet that carried the mark of Earth. In the council chamber panic replaced pride as messengers delivered news of burning fleets, of destroyed outposts, of survivors who spoke in fear. "It cannot be," said the silver-skinned leader, his voice shaking. "The humans cannot have built such ships." "Yet they have," replied another, holding a broken fragment of a warlord's flagship, melted by weapons no alien race had ever seen. The council chamber filled with fear, with denial, with rage. Some demanded that the council prepare for war. Others begged for peace before it was too late. The elder who had warned them before stood and spoke at last, his voice heavy with truth. You laughed at me when I said they would rise. You mocked me when I said they were different. But now you see, humanity was never falling. Humanity was preparing. Silence filled the chamber as the truth struck deep. The great reveal had come. Humanity's hidden armada was real, and it was no longer hiding. Across the galaxy, alien traders, soldiers, and spies spoke in whispers of black ships that appeared from nowhere, struck with deadly fire, and vanished again before pursuit. Some called them ghosts, some called them demons, but all knew the name that spread with fear: humans. For the first time in ages the Council felt doubt. They had waited for humanity's fall, but instead they had witnessed its rise. The question now burned like fire in every heart: would humanity come as slaves, or as masters? The first strike of humanity began in silence, without warning, without announcement, as if the shadows of space themselves had come alive. At the edge of the galaxy, an alien warlord had gathered his fleet, hundreds of ships armed with cannons and shields, preparing for the invasion of Earth. He believed the humans were weak and broken, and he thought his conquest would be quick, his glory certain. But in the cold dark of the void, a different power was waiting. Out of the emptiness human ships appeared, black and sharp, sliding into position like hunters. Their engines burned only faintly, their weapons hidden, their movements precise. No alien sensor had seen them coming. The warlord's fleet was caught blind. The first shot came from a human cruiser, a beam of light so sharp and clean it cut through an alien battleship as if it were paper. The ship exploded in fire, and before the warlord's captains could even shout commands, more human fire rained down. Fighters streaked forward, moving faster than any alien ship had ever seen, weaving between heavy cannons and striking at weak points with deadly aim. The aliens screamed in confusion. Who are they? What fleet is this? How do they move so fast? But the answer came too late. Ship after ship fell, torn apart by weapons the Council had never imagined humans could build. The warlord's flag vessel tried to rally his forces, but before his orders could spread, a shadow fell across his bridge. On his screen he saw it, a human battleship larger than anything in his fleet, its black hull glowing with energy, its cannons locked upon him. For the first time in his long life of conquest, the warlord felt fear. The human commander's voice reached him through the comms, calm and sharp. This is Earth. This is humanity. You will not touch our home. The warlord tried to answer with pride, but his voice broke as fire consumed his ship. In minutes the fleet that had been meant to conquer Earth was nothing more than wreckage drifting in silence. Survivors fled in panic, their ships burning, their hearts filled with terror. They carried with them stories of the battle, stories that spread across the stars like wildfire. The Council received those stories, and the chamber that had once been filled with laughter was now filled with fear. The silver-skinned leader slammed his hand on the table. It is impossible. Humans cannot do this. They cannot build ships of such power. But the elder only shook his head. You were blind. You thought their struggles were weakness. You thought their chaos meant they could not rise. But they learned, they built, and now they strike. This is only the beginning. Across the galaxy alien fleets prepared, some in anger, some in fear. Some spoke of destroying the humans before they grew stronger. Others whispered of peace, of treaties, of offering alliance. But no one could deny the truth. The first strike of humanity had changed everything. No longer were humans prey waiting for the Council's harvest. They had become hunters, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In the shining hall of the Galactic Council the air was no longer filled with pride and laughter. It was heavy with fear and anger, for news of humanity's first strike had spread faster than light, and no one could deny the truth any longer. Reports from survivors came in fragments, broken voices trembling with terror as they spoke of black ships that moved like shadows, of weapons that cut through shields like paper, of fleets that vanished before they could be tracked. The council chamber echoed with panic. Some shouted that it was impossible, others demanded answers, but all felt the same dread. The silver-skinned leader who once mocked the warnings now stood pale and uncertain, his voice shaking as he said, "If the humans truly have such power, then we are all at risk. They must be stopped before they grow stronger." At once another voice, cold and sharp, replied, "Stopped? How? If even the warlord's fleet could not stand against them, what chance do we have?" Arguments broke like storms, voices clashing, claws striking tables, wings flaring in rage. One shouted, "We must unite our fleets, crush them before they expand." Another countered, "We must seek peace, speak to them, offer them a place in the council before their anger falls on us." The chamber filled with chaos, and above it all the elder rose slowly to his feet, his old eyes heavy with the weight of truth. His voice was low but clear as he said, "You see now what I warned you. You waited for their fall, but instead you watched their rise. Humanity is not a child race. Humanity is not broken. They are survivors. They are predators. And they will not bow to you." His words fell like stones in water, sending ripples through the chamber. Some glared at him with hatred, others with fear, but none could deny the evidence. The hidden Armada was real, the humans were strong, and the galaxy had changed. Fear spread not only through the council but through every empire. Merchants whispered of human raids on pirate lords. Soldiers told stories of battles where black ships appeared from nowhere and vanished without trace. Colonists spoke of hearing human voices in the dark, promising freedom, promising vengeance. The council's pride cracked, replaced with doubt. "If they continue," one leader said, "our own people will see them as heroes, not enemies. They will see humans as a power of hope." Another spat in rage. "They are a plague. They are dangerous. If we do not crush them now, we will lose the galaxy." But the chamber was divided. Fear of human strength fought against fear of human revenge. To strike them was dangerous, but to leave them alone was worse. The silver-skinned leader leaned forward, his voice a whisper full of dread. "They know we planned for their fall. They know we waited for their death. When they come, they will not forgive us." For a moment silence fell, the kind of silence that weighs like iron. In that silence each leader saw the truth they had denied for so long. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity had become something else, something fierce, something unstoppable. And though no one spoke it aloud, the same thought burned in every mind. The galaxy had feared nothing for centuries, but now it feared humanity. On Earth the secret Armada no longer slept, its ships were awake, its engines burned, and its crews trained every hour for the storm they all knew was coming. The galaxy was shaken by their first strike, but humanity stood at a crossroad, for even with their power they were still a young race, divided in heart though united in shadow. In the underground command halls leaders from many nations gathered, not politicians who argued on television, but the hidden commanders of the fleet, the scientists who built the ships, the soldiers who swore their lives to defend Earth. Around a great table they sat, maps of the stars glowing before them, and they spoke not of petty borders but of survival itself. One voice said, "We must hide still, strike only when needed, remain ghosts in the dark." Another replied, "No, we must show them our strength, show them we will never bow. If we stay in shadow they will hunt us forever." The room fell into heavy silence as all eyes turned to the fleet commander, a man whose face was worn with years of sacrifice. He looked at the stars above the table and spoke slowly. "The council will not forgive us. They waited for our fall, they planned to divide our home. Now they know we are strong, and they will come. If we wait, they will gather all their fleets and crush us. If we hide, they will still find us. There is only one path. We choose freedom, even if it means war." His words struck every heart with fire. The choice of humanity was made not in fear but in defiance. They would not kneel, they would not beg, they would fight. Across the hidden bases pilots strapped into their fighters, soldiers loaded weapons, engineers checked engines, and families whispered farewells with tears and pride. For the first time in history, humans of every nation, every language, every belief, stood together not for conquest, not for greed, but for survival. In the council chamber far away their enemies prepared as well, fleets gathering, strategies written, voices shouting for war. Some still whispered of peace, but their voices were drowned by fear and pride. The council believed they could still crush Earth, still burn humanity before it grew stronger. But deep in the hidden hangars of Earth, the human fleet prepared for a fight not of survival alone but of destiny. The choice was clear now. They would rise, they would resist, and they would show the galaxy that humanity was no longer prey but predator. As the fleet commander walked through the silent halls of his flagship, he paused before the viewing glass where the stars stretched endless and cold. He placed his hand against the glass and whispered to himself, "If this is the end of us, let it be written that we chose it. Let it be known that we fought as free men and women, not as slaves." His words carried across the comms, and across the fleet every heart answered with the same fire. Humanity had chosen. The council had feared this moment, but now it was real. The galaxy waited in silence, and in that silence the storm was about to break. The war began without warning, a storm of fire and shadow that swept across the galaxy as humanity unleashed its hidden armada for the first time in full force. Black ships that had slept in oceans, ice, and mountains rose into the void, their engines burning like stars, their weapons locked and ready. The council's fleets, once proud and unchallenged, were caught off guard, scattered by the sudden precision of human attack. Human ships moved like ghosts, appearing where none were expected, striking with weapons that cut through alien armor with deadly speed, vanishing before return fire could reach them. Entire squadrons of the council's finest burned in silence, their crews screaming into emptiness as their ships disintegrated. Across distant colonies and trade routes, whispers of the attack spread, and fear took root in every alien heart. "They are not children," one fleet commander whispered to another. "They are predators." But the humans did not strike for conquest first. They struck to protect, to defend Earth, to show that the Council's plan of dominance would never succeed. Planets once marked for invasion were defended by black ships that appeared as if from nowhere, saving settlements, capturing enemy vessels, and vanishing again into the dark. The Council panicked. Orders were shouted, fleets were scrambled, alliances called, but every move was met with the precision of a species that had studied, waited, and prepared for centuries. Human tactics were unlike anything seen before. They fought with speed, with knowledge, with cunning, striking not in force alone but in intelligence, exploiting the weaknesses the Council had overlooked, exploiting the arrogance that had blinded them for so long. For every alien ship that attacked, there were 10 human ships that countered, disappearing into the void before more could arrive. In the council chamber, panic grew. Leaders screamed at each other, blaming generals, accusing allies, demanding impossible solutions. The silver-skinned leader, once proud and confident, pounded the table and shouted, "Stop them! Destroy every fleet! Show them we are gods among mortals!" But the elder shook his head slowly, his eyes calm in the storm of fear. "You do not understand," he said. "This is not just war. This is their awakening. You waited for their fall, and instead you have witnessed their rise. You cannot crush what has already been forged in fire and shadow." Across space human ships pressed forward, unstoppable and unrelenting. They captured alien technology, studied it, turned it against its creators. They struck at supply lines, at communications, at command centers, leaving fleets in confusion and terror. The Council realized too late that they had underestimated humanity in every way. Pride, arrogance, and waiting had blinded them to a truth they could not ignore. Humans were no longer weak, they were no longer prey, and they would not surrender. As the war continued, alien fleets fell one by one, retreating in fear, scattering to hide behind asteroids, behind gas giants, behind the shadows of their own worlds. Humanity did not give chase with cruelty, but with precision, striking only where necessary, defending, teaching, and showing the galaxy that the humans of Earth had risen to take their place among the stars. In the chamber, whispers of surrender began. Some council members begged for peace. Others plotted escape. But the truth was clear to all. The era of waiting and dominance was over. Humanity had chosen to fight, and the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. In the silence of space, amid the wreckage of alien pride and burned ships, humanity's armada moved forward, black and gleaming, engines humming with the promise of freedom. On Earth, people watched the skies, unaware of the full scale of the war, but trusting in the unseen fleet that had carried their courage and hope across the stars. And in the hearts of every human who had built, trained, and sacrificed for this moment, one thought burned brighter than the fires of battle. They had chosen to rise, and no force in the galaxy could take that away. The Council had waited for humanity's fall, but instead they had witnessed something far greater. The rise of a species that would shape the stars, the rise of humanity's glory, the war that changed everything.